Connecticut, what's going on? We are down here in Meriden, in the home of Farewood, a band that we saw on our live and local at the Daffodil Fest recently, and a band that has a brand new record out, and we're going to be talking about all of that today. So how about we do a quick round robin, names and instruments?
Ed Diaz, I do like guitar soundscapes.
Lou Lorenzo, guitars and vocals.
Leah Booker, I sing and play bass.
They have a drummer too. He blew up like Spinal Tap. No, I'm kidding. So let's talk about the new record though, because it's been a long time coming, and it's really, really good. So tell me real quick, just the process of putting this album together. Was it painful? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's always painful because you have an idea in your mind of how you want it to be and how you want it to sound, and it either starts that way or doesn't start that way, and then the clock is ticking, and you start to wonder, am I going to be in the same spot when it's done? Is it going to reflect what it was supposed to reflect? But we got it done, and I think it kind of stayed on course as much as possible.
Now there's a story though to this whole album, right? It's sort of a pseudo concept record, right?
Maybe loosely. It's not really a thought out concept. But it's just mostly inspired by our time, becoming parents. We became parents, so it kind of reawakened a lot of thoughts you had from your childhood. Like you get reminded a lot of things you forgot. So I mean, it kind of has reading the kids' stories a lot at night, kind of brings back the whole fairy tale aspect of living. So we kind of work that into the sound and the theme of the record.
And there's a track which I'm going to assume is one of their children at the very beginning, which I'm not going to lie, kind of creeped me out just a little bit. So let's talk, though, about the sound of Farewood. While I was watching you guys at Daffodil Fest, a phenomenal performance, one of the best of the weekend, someone right after that turned to me and said, they have really sort of this retro 90s alt-rock kind of vibe. And I thought that was actually pretty fitting, but there's more to it than that. So if you guys had to describe Farewood to the uninitiated, where would you take it?
I think that's the 90s alt-rock vibe. That's where we came from. I mean, that's our growing up, our biggest influences. But we definitely like the ethereal kind of stuff and rock. Someone described something to me the other day. It was like someone who totally didn't know music was like, you kind of remind me of R&B mixed with heavy metal. And I thought that was so interesting. Okay, so it's kind of soulful but rocking. I don't know.
That is a good take, because there is sort of the ethereal, sort of dark element to the music itself. So was that a conscious thought to say, hey, let's make this a little darker than the average, alt-rock 90s band, or is that just something that just kind of came out in the process?
I think it's just natural from where we are. It's just we gravitate towards that type of music. It's kind of in our sensibilities. So, if I can describe our sound, I would always try to imagine something that's kind of hypnotic. It kind of lulls the listener at first, it has a groove, and then we start to unleash the sonic assaults further in. I always want our music to kind of just vibe, really not sound frantic or anything like that, just really groovy.
Let's talk about being from Meriden for a second. Obviously, Daffodil Fest is one of the cornerstones of the Connecticut music scene. Thank you, Robbie. So, being from Meriden, though, you guys, you're not a Hartford area band. You're not a New Haven band. So do you find it a plus or a minus to be from an area where it's not a sort of scene, so to speak?
I think it's a plus because, we kind of just develop our sound in our own little area. So there's really not a lot of influence coming in as far as, there's not a lot of local bands in the area. There's a few really good ones. He's in one called Clearlight Industries. Give them a plug, because they're great, great local band too, and they're from Meriden. So I mean, it's just I think it's a plus because it just keeps us sort of grounded into where we're from. We don't get too caught up in any kind of hype of any other scenes or anything. And I think that's good. I mean, I love the other scenes in New Haven and New London, all the other Hartford, all great scenes. But I feel happy to be from Meriden.
So let's talk then real quick about where we see Farewood a year from now, 2 years from now. What's the projectile for this band?
Well, we're going to start recording pretty soon again, actually. We're going to go to a studio this time and record a tape, some live. We're thinking about doing some of our best songs that come across live that really didn't come across in the recordings the way we wanted to come across. So we're going to like just go into a studio and just record live right to tape, you know. That's the plan. I mean, hopefully it works out.
I like that plan. More music is always a good thing. So we're going to go back to the Daffodil Fest right now. We're going to go into some live footage of these guys on the welcome stage. Check it out.